The Last of Us. Last week, as you know, Hillary Clinton was in it. And she hates children. And we all hate her. So that was fun. But at least the bloater got to her. So some justice was served. Alright, next episode. Oh yeah, and then we had, I think it was Sam and Harry. I actually liked that portrayal, but I was really sad that they changed the dialogue from the original scene because the original scene felt a lot more impactful. But it feels like a little bit like Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. They changed the wording to make it easier for a certain audience in a certain country. Because if they kept saying it's all your fault, some people would just literally interpret that as it's all your fault, not the person talking to themselves. And some people can't appreciate the duality of dialogue. Anyway, like George Carlin said, imagine how stupid the average person is, and then realize half of them are stupider than that. Oh, thank you for gifting, kind sir. Thank you, thank you. Yes, latching. Thank you, kind sir. I think a lot of people are going to appreciate being able to watch the VODs now. Thank you. You like the content? Thanks, man. I hope you've also got your Discord set up with your Twitch so you can actually go into the Council of Kumas. So if you haven't, do set that up. Because then you'll be able to vote on TV shows that we watch, games that we play, and things like that. It's really worth it. Oh, you were the one asking, Katsuo. I did notice because your name was different. Okay. Did you actually get it set up? I know Ra set the link. Awesome. Awesome. Good man. Alright, let's do this. Logical flower blossoms into beautiful flower. There's Drakengard 3 callback. Ha! Oh, I'll play Drakengard 3 in a heartbeat. Three months later. Ooh. So someone's got... Oh, is it them? No, that wouldn't be them. Because they would be moving. This is someone else. But he's got a nice little shed. He's got a deer. He's caught some rabbits. I mean... Would the... Would the... Oh, God. I'm having a brain fart. The fungus that mind controls people, would it be able to survive in a low temperature environment? I don't think so. It would prefer a more humid, high temperature environment. So being somewhere where it's snowy like this is possibly a really good way to go about things. Someone's in there? Yeah, she gave him a nice little... What about the knife? Nah, that's within reach. Put it on the floor and kick it over. High and tight, huh? Were you a military man? Manners, Ellie. You're in someone else's house. Fungi are normally extremely temperature resistant, but stop growing at a certain temperature. They would still survive. Damn. I like that one. Except Ellie really fucked that one up in the second game. I mean, that's one way to get your husband killed. I like the thing. They rehearse a lie. God bless her. You know, the good thing about innocence, well, the cute thing about it, is that Ellie thinks that the most dangerous thing out there is the infected. No, it's humans. Humans that are no longer stuck living in a society where there are repercussions for actions. Or at least the guise of repercussions for actions. I like how he's like, put that back. You don't want to piss off the guy. You might have to come back, Ellie. Don't burn that bridge. Oh, what's going on? Whoa. I'd fear bug people more than shroom people. You've seen bugs eat, right? Bugs are fucking terrifying. Nature is terrifying. You know, people are like, humans are so evil for having farm animals and, you know, like cattle and things like that. Well, in, you know, a developed civilized country, typically we treat farm animals really well on open fields and ranges, and cattle can graze and they have water and no natural predators. And all that happens at the end of the day is they get a pat on the head and like the steel prod just goes through their brain, instantly killing them. Have you seen how animals kill each other in the wild? I'd say it's the more humane alternative. Go watch a nature documentary on like spiders or centipedes or like take your pick. Like go watch some nature documentaries, man. You think humans are cruel? My god. Like some animals will literally plant their eggs inside of a living host so the babies will hatch and eat the host from the inside. Like shit. There's a YouTube video of a monitor lizard eating the guts of a still living deer. Literally saw a lioness eat the man bits first. Look, I don't care whether you're a deer, a dog, an elephant, or a lion. There's one thing anyone with a pair would universally feel the pain of another. Anything to do with, like, my god. I think it's universal. I saw a bear scratching his back on a fence, and then he like pulled the line, and it flicked, and it hit him in the balls, and he just fell on the ground in pain. I could feel the bear's pain. There's one thing universal, and that is the pain of getting hit in the ball. If you don't know that pain, consider yourself lucky. Ellie's such a goddamn teenager. I mean, I like it, but at the same time, I'm like, goddamn. Ah, there's a hole in his boot. Oh, the green lights. Sorry, the northern lights. She's gonna spit it out. It's probably brandy. No, it's probably moonshine. He wouldn't have brandy. Moonshine. It's like 80%, isn't it? Ah, she didn't spit it out. Good girl. Ellie, your problem is that you put it on your tongue. Just drink it. That's why people drink. They don't go, It's like, no, 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 no. When you're drinking like coarse crap, you literally just go, it completely bypasses your tongue. Don't, rookie mistake. I don't know what would be worse, kidney stones, childbirth, or a kick in the groin from an 8th degree black belt. Look, by the time they get to become an 8th degree black belt, you know, they're less formidable than like a 140 kilo guy with big legs like tree stumps. It doesn't take Bruce Lee to be able to kick you in the groin. I'm just saying. It's not that complex of a technique. Yeah, about that, Ellie. Gracias por la suscripción de regalo. Did I read that correctly? I think he's saying thank you for the subscription. And, well, his girlfriend just died. And is looking for his brother that could potentially be dead. I mean, hasn't really thought about it. Who? Real question is, are you a killer? I mean, using Joel as bait would work great. But the real question is, can you pull the trigger without your hands shaking? Because in a rifle like that, I'll never forget learning how to shoot. What are you going to do without sleep, man? You're just going to be fucking useless. Your reaction time's going to be useless. Your stamina's going to go to shit. The amount of food you consume is going to exponentially increase. Like, you need sleep. Ah, oh, she's winning him over. I would personally be paying attention to the birds because birds would fly away as people are walking across the tree line. Plus, you have a scope. You should be able to scope it out. Just gotta be careful. And I would go a little bit deeper than by the bloody shoreline. You stick out like a sore thumb on a white background. And Jesus Christ, is this a nightmare scenario if someone has a good rifle? There's like no cover at all. It makes me nervous just looking at it. It's either that or MGS1 PTSD. I'm gonna be that guy. I know the open space really good, but it makes me fucking nervous. But then again, you've got infected that could be, hiding amongst the trees, but like at the same time, you're not in the open where someone can take a clear shot at you. Sally Ride was the first American woman and third woman to go to space. Ooh. Who were the first two women then? I don't know how to whistle. What are you saying, Joel? Well, see, Joel? Actually, women make good hunters. The first two were cosmonauts Valentina Tereshova in 1963 and Svetlana Savitskaya in 1982. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the USSR had more equality than the US. They also had soldiers in World War II. That made great snipers, might I add. Most of them were widows after their husbands died in the battle for Stalingrad. They made excellent snipers. Slavic women be scary, man. Yeah, just wait till you get to the smell of the guts and the... Ugh. Especially in summer. Mmm. This... Well, you get a turbine that gets moved by the water, and the motion of doing that helps generate electricity through another mechanism. Yeah, but then where's the trust? Wait, you haven't been looking at your map as you've been walking? No wonder you get lost! You should know the landmark that you're gonna see as you're walking. Not be like, oh, that's a landmark. Where the fuck am I? Like, you should have a rough idea. At the very least, you should have your fucking bearings, man. I imagine it being awful dressing a rabbit that needed to fart for a week. So we bought squid the other day, and I had never actually cleaned a squid before. And so obviously we were looking on YouTube for different techniques. And I ended up, you have to basically like put your hand in and you have to separate where the stomach lining is by basically pinching. But you have to do it without breaking the stomach or the ink sac. And so I managed to break I think the stomach lining the first time because, Kuma nub. And then I got it out the second time. But the third squid, I put my hand inside and there was like something weird inside. And so when I pulled it out, it turned out that there was a fish that the squid had actually eaten and it was partially digested. So a part of the fish was like exposed and you could see the bone and like the other part was still fleshy. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. And then we got to, clean the squid and then of course we cut it up and we made calamari. We actually made like very similar to taco wasa, which is marinated octopus with wasabi, but we marinated it with a few other things. And so Hutchin and I had like traditional Japanese marinated seafood and radish and stuff. And I also made traditional Japanese fried chicken, like 100% traditional. Like it literally tastes like the Japanese fried chicken that you get at the restaurant. So I got that shit down. Getting good at this. You're basically fucked. You're not outrunning that. Well, I hope you maxed out charisma. Wait. Okay, the fact that he's asking if you've been near infected indicates that he's not gonna shoot you, at least right now. Because if he was, he wouldn't care if you're infected. Ellie, I hope you're a dog person. Uh-oh. Okay, she's a dog person. What is this? The Last of Us? I mean, The Walking Dead? You have to admit, if this was like a real life situation that would happen, people like this that are used to living off the land in communities like this where people typically know each other and work together would be in a very good position to survive. Typically. Thirsty bison. I just think of Appa. Wait, so she has her own horse. Oh, okay, fair enough. So 2 people must be riding on other horses. She knows how to ride a horse? Maybe the horse is just following the other horse. I hope you're not building a gallows. Oh shit. Well, that went very well. And now Ellie's like, well, shit, now he doesn't need me. I think Ellie needs a hug. I think she needs a hug. Okay, Ellie, I need to teach you how to use a fork. Well, they're fucking hungry. Ellie, table manners, please. You're in someone else's home. Oh my god, they have pumpkin pie. Hachan, I want pumpkin pie. I'll take that as a yes. Say no if you don't want pumpkin pie. Yep, she wants pumpkin pie. Okay, I promise this is really quickly. Remember how I lived in Japan for a month? Well, anyway, long story short, I had a Costco membership, and it was a Costco membership in Hutchins Town. It's a really big one. It was like brand new. Anyway, we went over there, and I found a kilo of New Zealand raw salmon for like $30. I was like, what the fuck? Here, you can't get raw salmon for under $80 a kilo. So the fact that I found a kilo of raw New Zealand Atlantic salmon was like, what the fuck? And so I grabbed the salmon, and I also found a pumpkin pie, which was 1.8 kilos. And I grabbed it. And then I went and put it in the trolley. And then as we were going to the checkout, Hutchin is like, you can't eat all this. I'm like, no, we'll eat it. He's like, we can't all this. And then I grabbed Hutchin's hands, looked her straight in the eyes, and said, yes, we can. And we did. We were having sashimi every morning. I learned how to cut the sashimi with the salmon. I didn't know how to cut sashimi before that, but I learned. The whole knife flick and everything. Wait, is this girl the same actress from Game of Thrones? Yeah. She has a hell of a career ahead of her. Ellie! Ellie! Oh, it's The Walking Dead all over again. Ellie, please shut the fuck up. Okay, if I have kids, the first thing that I'm going to teach them is to shut up. Basically, I was like super quiet whenever at a table. Because if I want to, I'll get a smack. So, like, you know, I learned to be quiet. It's just a fear tactic. You know, like leaving the skulls of dead people on pikes. Oh, I thought for a second she was there to make sure, something weird doesn't happen because he's new to the community. But apparently he's a member of the community. When did this happen? Because he doesn't know about it, clearly. Seven? You mean the brother, or you mean like the village? See, Remington 700 is a fucking beautiful sniper rifle. It's a personal favorite of the US Marine Corps. Well, as long as they can produce things like light bulbs. In the game, she was white and blonde. I mean, it's a superficial difference. I still stand by the fact that you should just cast people that are best for the role. It's like, unless, of course, there's a character that's like, say, for example, Spanish, and you need a person that's fluent in Spanish, your chances of getting a Spanish person to play the role are probably higher than getting a Serbian guy to play the role because you wouldn't want me speaking Spanish. I'd butcher it, right? So, like, you gotta cast the best person for the role. It's just how it works, man. Oh, yeah, she's in charge. If I was in a society like this, I would try to become sergeant at arms. It's like the only role that I would be decent at. Looking after the weapons, making sure people handling the weapons are handling them properly, and at times of conflict, being the go to person on how to deal with the situation. I personally feel that I would be well suited for the role. Well, um, I think you may need to open up a history book. I think that's very dangerous to start teaching children that communism actually works. I don't kind of like that political push that they did, that they're communists and this is a functioning society where everyone's happy, everyone's safe. Just open up a history book and try to find me an instance of communism actually working. I think that's a dangerous thing to push. I think you have to actually take a look at human behavior and how people tend to behave when they're given power. And it's irresponsible to be denying that reality, especially when it's historically accurate. And this is coming from someone in a formerly communist country. Just look up the history of Yugoslavia and how that ended. I can work with that. Wonder if they make their own booze? Of course they do. That's like one of the first things that guys do in a situation like this. Cook booze. Ooh. Do you think Hollywood cares about responsibility? Well, when a bunch of actors and actresses that make their money from playing action heroes that shoot guns, that fly on private planes, go to Epstein's Island, and then go to a World Economic Forum telling people they should stop eating meat and driving cars because they're destroying the planet, I tend to not take them seriously, especially when they live in gated communities in a bubble and don't actually know the struggles of day-to-day survival. Joel, that's very sticky. Don't. Ugh. Look, the bear's wearing a hat. The bear's wearing a hat. Look, the bear, he's wearing a hat. Look, he's wearing a hat. He's wearing a hat. 10 domestic bottles for just 15 bucks. Mate, you can't get 3 bottles for under like 30 bucks here. I mean, he's married. Let me guess, there's a kid on the way. Ooh, I see where it's coming from. Told ya, there's always a baby involved. Soon as there's a baby, there's just everything goes downhill. There's a bun in the oven. Oof. Well, this is messy. Well, that was very, I can sense there's a lot of history there. It's like I ride halfway across the country to try to find you and save you. Turns out you're perfectly fine in a village and didn't need me. And Tess died on the way, by the way. Ugh. I mean, I can understand where Joel's coming from, but he doesn't know that Tess is dead. I'm just saying. Is it just me, or, like, do I feel that honesty is the best policy? Like, why would you hide that fact? Oh no, it's happening more frequently. Is it PTSD or panic attacks? What's happening to him? Oh yeah, it's PTSD. Oh, that is bad. Poor guy. Guard dog extraordinaire. Is the gun there? What the fuck is that? What the fuck is that? I can't read this. Insert the... Ah! Well, I don't know what it is, but it seems to go somewhere. Why are you giving her that? Breast milk pump? I don't think that's a breast milk pump. I mean, she did say she was next door. Just keep making noise and hopefully you don't walk in on something awkward. I mean, she's got a fire going. Don't waste it. Kevin? Sarah. Ooh. Traded? In communism? That's starting to sound like capitalism. showering her with kindness. Mm. You think? So you're gonna judge the guy. Cool, that's nice. Good to know. Oh yeah, I absolutely. You know what? I absolutely love that whole thing. Oh, he's a killer. He's a bad person. Oh, but what about his brother that you're marrying? No, no, no. He was just following his big brother. He's cool. But the big brother, bad boy. And it's like, really? Is that how you're gonna rationalize this whole thing? You just met the guy, and you've already judged him. Wow. That's just wow. Like, he was polite and courteous. He didn't even know who you were. Called, ma'am, thank you for the food. He was polite. He was nice. But you're treating him like shit. That doesn't reflect poorly on him. Just saying. You know, as a lawyer, okay, maybe let's not go into professions, but uh, I, yeah, yeah. Let's just continue. Let's just continue. I think I found it. That plastic thing is a menstrual cup. I don't even know what that is. So you're taking a kid with a gun who's years ahead of her age group and putting her in the middle of a crowd of kids that have probably never even seen an animal get gutted. Oh, yeah, they have so much in common. Instead of soaking up the blood, it's storing it in a cup and you have to dump it out. I can theoretically imagine how that works. These kids are so sheltered. My view is that you might think that you're doing these kids a favor by sheltering them from reality, but you're doing them a great disservice because you are protecting them from the very real dangers of the outside world. And then when they eventually have to learn about it, it's going to be an extra step to teach them as opposed to gradually teaching them step by step. So the concept of danger is not foreign. But what would I know? Dude, a pair of boots would be like amazingly valuable. The dark side of reality is important to learn. Gives you the undervalued skills for survival. Take it from a kid that was somewhat sheltered when he found out what reality was like. And when your concept of the world starts crashing in front of you, it's very difficult to accept. As opposed to gradually being exposed to it in a controlled environment with someone to guide you through it. As opposed to you're living here and now you just got thrown off a cliff and you're free falling. Very different. How would you train kids, teens to use guns if you want to conserve ammo? Well, you're technically conserving gunpowder because you could use rubber rounds, but you don't necessarily need them. But you can use bolt rifles, which don't actually use bullets. There are those. Nerf guns. Nerf guns at a very, very short range, but you've got those guns, I forget what they're called. I think they're called air rifles. And they basically just fire these little tiny pellets for about 10, 15 meters. So I think the pellet rifles can actually break paper at up to 15 meters. So if you can teach the child how to use the sight and reload and stuff and hit a target bullseye at 15 meters, you can actually teach them the basics and pretty much get their proficiency in standing up, not shaking their hands and things like that. Unless they got a bullet factory here. The materials are the difficult part, not so much the factory. You can manually make the bullets with like the hand thing, that's not a problem, but the problem is getting the materials for it. Because you need to produce the casing, so you need the copper, the brass, you also need to smelt the bullet itself, because if it's not done properly, it's not going to be perfectly symmetrical and balanced properly through the air, and something like that would mean the bullet would just fly like a stray. On top of that, you need to produce the gunpowder itself and all these other things. It's not so much just create a factory. Bullets are actually quite complex to make. You're better off teaching them things like how to make bows, how to make arrows, basic survival skills. I mean, people automatically jump to the whole thing of everyone's going to be using firearms. You should, in all likelihood, be conserving as much ammunition and firearms as you can, because once these firearms break, how easy is it to get replacement parts? How easy is it to get the springs, barrels, all these other things? Good luck with that. Whereas if you mainly rely on things for hunting, such as bows, arrows, you can create crossbows, you can create improvised blades, spears, and things like that. That's a lot more long term. And then, for defensive purposes or assault purposes, you will use your guns. But if you're relying on your guns for basic hunting, your lifestyle is not exactly sustainable. You need to basically learn to live off the land. So say what you will, you got to learn how the native Indians used to live. Or Native Americans. Native Indians, Native Americans. The phrase eludes me, but you're trying to get what I mean, right? Bow and arrow could help with your training. It's training how to use your brain. He's gonna tell his wife, and it's gonna go downhill. The guy literally went halfway across the country to try to save you because he thought you were in danger. Come on. That's rare. Oh no, do not tell the wife. I swear to God. He's gonna wake up to a gun to his head. I swear if you snitch, you're gonna get a stitch. This is indoctrination. Hey, Justin. Oh my God, those old MacBooks. Fucking hell. Well, you could delete the hard drive thing and it would just stop working. Oh my God. Yeah, well, most girls have the same problem nowadays. Tell me about it. And the next thing they're going to have to worry about is when their future fiancés find out they had an OnlyFans. Apparently, they haven't found out that reverse image search is a thing. She didn't, but you just confirmed it. Oh, you stupid. Ugh. Joel, you're getting outsmarted by a 14-year-old. Why are you getting outsmarted by a 14-year-old? Oh, you actually heard it? I would have been outsmarted there too. You see, you guys make fun of my paranoia, but my paranoia stops me from saying stupid shit. Well, okay, I appreciate the fact that she's not being passive. She's outright just telling him what's wrong. So I give her points for maturity, and I actually like that she's upfront. But at the same time, she still doesn't understand the concept of loss and the fact that he's actually scared of losing her. And that also means that he's growing attached to her because she doesn't have that mature emotional life experience. So no blame goes to her, but poor Joel. Maybe she does understand. Hachan, we can hear you. I know that you're playing with Cheeky and it's adorable, but, you know, we're... Hachan! Go to your room! No, this is my room. Okay, give me the baby. This is technically my room. You just stole half of my. You just technically stole half of my room and made it into half your room, and I'll steal half of your room too. See, this is the baby. This is my baby. See, this is a good baby. Look at my baby. Mwah. 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 Okay, Hachan, you can play with the baby in your room. Your room. This is my room. Your computer may be in my room, but it's still my room. Hachan stole half my room. Look at this shit. Yeah, she's got like a table and a computer. She's even got a chair. Look, there's a chair. I have to move it on the side. Stole half my room. And she's even got the green screen thing up there because she uses the green screen in my room. And she's stealing half my room. She's becoming a communist. Communal? Nice. Oh, sorry, I lost a little bit here. Can we go back a little bit? Wah, 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 wah. Now who's acting like a teenage girl, Joel? Ooh, flint pistols. Nice. You can have jewels. See you, man. Have a good one, and thanks for the donations. I'll see you next time. Hey, here's another memory Kuma doesn't have. A Christmas tree with his parents. Boo-hoo. Okay, see you, Subaru. I will admit I do feel for Ellie, because I know exactly where she's coming from and how it feels. He's gonna be there. ¿Por qué no los dos? 2 people with a rifle are better than 1 person with a rifle. Teamwork is essential. It gives the enemy someone else to shoot at. It also gives you someone to flank the enemy while you're getting shot at. ¿Por qué no los dos? I kind of feel that there's a hole in the writing here. Would it not be safer with 2 people? My 100% honest belief is that they should bring back trial by combat. It was the most efficient way to get people out of the courtroom fast. Here's the beautiful thing. The current judicial system, particularly in the Western world, isn't built to get justice. It's built to force people to plea. Because if they don't plead, they can be held if they can't afford the bail. And even if they can afford the bail, they have a pending criminal record, which means in most cases they can't keep their job. So a lot of the times they will plead just so they don't get a criminal record. And then the next time they get caught for something, they get a much harsher sentence. The judicial system isn't made for justice. It's basically made to punish people that can't afford good lawyers, which is why rich people that break numerous laws get away with it, whereas the average person that barely broke any law gets fucked for it. You know, like single mothers working 2 jobs back to back that may or may not have taken a stimulant or something which is still in some states illegal to relax after their second shift, end up getting busted for drug possession and sent, harsher sentences than some guy stealing millions of dollars from poor pensioners. The judicial system is broken by design. I know. This is exactly what a barrister told me when he was looking after my situation. And he was like one of the best criminal lawyers in Australia. And even he pointed out that it's flawed by design. If everyone that was currently being charged with something would attend trial, it would probably take 7 to 8 years before the new person arrested would actually see a courtroom. Which is why police typically charge people with a much harsher infringement or whatever law they call it, just so they would actually plea on a lower charge. And US prisons, a lot of them are private and they use prison labor. And guess who kept a lot of prisoners in jail? The Vice President of the United States. She kept people who she knew were innocent in prisons just so they could be used as cheap labor. And a lot of those people were African Americans on petty drug charges. And Joe Biden was one of the people that got those laws in place many years ago, which specifically targeted African American people in America. Because according to his own words, let me find the screenshot of what he said back in the day. Young Joe, whose mentor was a member of the KKK and a very high-ranking member. Let me try to find it. I've got it somewhere here on my computer. It's absolutely fucked. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is young Joe's thing? I have it somewhere here. I'm trying to find it. No, not this one. Not the elections. No. Ooh, photo surfaces reportedly showing Joe Biden meeting Hunter's foreign business partners. That's a fun one, but not the one I'm looking for. Indicates Joe Biden knew of Hunter's dealings with spy chief. No, not that one. Not that one. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? I need to find it. God damn it. Ah, Joe Biden sniffing people. I mean, Goldie, but not the one I'm looking for. Oh God, the child. Oh, poor kid. Ugh. Okay, not the one I'm looking for. Damn it, it's the one that he basically said like decades ago where he didn't want African American people to be. He didn't want his kids raised in a country with African American people running around. It's like his famous quote. It must be on my other hard drive. It's like it was the one that I was basically linking to people when they were talking about how Trump was a racist. And I was like, one sec. But yeah, judicial system, I'm sorry, it's not built for justice. And it never was. It was built as a control mechanism. And it always has been. It disgusts me. And that doesn't necessarily mean I like Trump. I know what a scumbag that he is. I'm just pointing out that the guy they have there is not actually any better. I mean, he's been in the fucking government for God knows how many decades and the country's just been going downhill. What does that tell you? True communism, they take all your shit and then they gift you other things. How about you give him some bullets? I like how he has the thing for the rifle. This is beautiful. By the way, we were going through New Zealand, and honestly, this was the type of scenes that we had. This is pretty much what we were seeing, except a lot more mountains. And I gotta say, nature is beautiful. Nature truly is beautiful. It is just... Yeah. I'm sounding like an old man. But nature truly is beautiful. She's learning how to shoot? Ellie, control your breathing. Exhale as you close your palm. That's how you pull. You gotta chill. You should be catching the casings because you can reuse them. Ellie, that rifle does not suck. All right, Marines have hit people at 3 kilometers with that rifle. All right, Ellie, that rifle does not suck. That is like a sniper's wet dream. All right. I mean, I would have gotten it in the O, but anyway. Can you not fucking make fires right there? Someone can see you. you basically had the people on the top that owned all the businesses, all the assets, and everything. And then you had the middle management, which were basically people hiring people at the bottom that basically did all the work, but they couldn't afford everything because everything was expensive. So, in order to live somewhere, they had to rent the place. In order to drive something, they had to borrow money in order to buy something to drive. And then they also had to buy the fuel and the mechanics and all these other things. So, basically, the people at the bottom that did all the work basically owned nothing. And they always had to pay their bills and utilities and interest rates and inflation to the people on the top that basically did nothing, but they owned everything. Exactly. I've seen how you climb on a ladder. You were no contractor. Well, I mean, in American football, they wear armor. In Australian football with New Zealanders, they don't wear any armor. I mean, Americans like to claim that their sports are super violent. Have you seen those massive Kiwis tackling people? That's fucking violent. I think you're forgetting the horse that did all the work. I hope you brought carrots. They've got sentries. Oh, trust me, they fucking see you. What, with a tower like that, they definitely have sentries. The average football player is 270 to 300 pounds. Imagine three of those slamming into you at near speed. So 300 pounds is probably 140 kilograms. Kuma is 115 kilograms right now. So imagine 25 kilograms more heavier than Kuma. And now also imagine they're a little bit higher than I am and a little bit wider. You're basically getting tackled by a bear. And then another bear. And then another bear. Have fun with that. And whatever you do, do not piss off their mums. Fucking New Zealanders will beat you the fuck up. Well, some of them. Like if they tackle you. If you can survive the tackle, you could be okay. Well, mostly sleep with foreign students. The full foreign exchange experience. Who they wanted to do in their lives. You know, you guys are always giving away your position while you're talking. I'm surprised someone hasn't pulled up on you yet. Well, he's warmed up to her. Grid iron evolved as more safer version of rugby. Helmets, padding, and moving the goalposts from end zone. You know, the founding fathers would be disappointed. No, this is just 28 days later. Have fun with that. Hey, funny piece of trivia. They introduced the concept of money to monkeys, and the first thing they came up with was prostitution. Now imagine if we introduced the concept of money and streaming to monkeys. I think the first thing they would come up with is OnlyFans. I'm like a repository of useless knowledge. Pilan Center, McNiven Cameron Law Center, Lowe's Law Library, Biomedical Sciences Building. Bingo. Hey, we're actually, I wasn't expecting this till like episode 8, but okay, episode 6 it is. Monkeys do that with meat. Kill another monkey, give it to the female, magic happens. Well, in the animal kingdom, if the male doesn't... Well, if the male isn't the alpha and not able to protect the female and bring food, he ain't getting any. I mean, it's a little bit like that in our society, except we've gone from being the physical alpha to being the socioeconomic and status alpha. And we've gone from just food and shelter to, well, everyone can almost get food and shelter, so we need something else. Shiny things like birds, bling bling, you know, that sort of crap. Even though there's enough diamonds for everyone to have a full glass full of diamonds, they just keep them underground and in short supply to keep their value high. And then they ran the world's most profitable marketing campaign, convincing everyone that they need to get a certain diamond ring for a wedding. Talk about scams. It's almost like Valentine's Day. And everyone fell for it. I would dismount. You ain't hitting shit on a horse. What did you tie it to? You just put it over the thing. The horse can literally just go on its own. He didn't even tie it. He just like literally put it on the thing. He literally just put it on the branch. Like, if he fires a shot, the horse is probably just gonna go. Alright, what do I know about horses? Well, someone raided the vending machine. You know what the funny thing is? They apparently opened the vending machine instead of just breaking the glass. But then again, the glass is pretty resistant to impact. But then again, it's not that resistant to impact. Don't ask me how I know this. I ain't saying shit. Joel, I notice you're not clearing your corners. You're teaching Ellie all the wrong things. And there's a lot of dust. What does that tell you? Let's take a look. Textiles, clothing, blankets, IV bags, saline, which is basically salt water, morphine IV bags, which is basically painkiller. I can't read this for shit. Acetaminophen, first aid kits, stocked, 45 automatic, 357 high velocity, shotgun shells case. I love how shotgun is like, shotgun is shotgun. You want a 12 gauge or an 8 gauge? Shotgun is shotgun! Sealed. I think they're trying to spell gunpowder. That looks like bun powder. Food perishables. I think you mean non-perishables. They even marketed diamonds not from them as blood diamonds. Nothing says I love you like the diamond a little child lost their hand for. Or 20 gauge shotgun. Hey, what is it, Christmas? I love how they're like 45, even though 9mm is far more common. But anyway. And what I find really funny is that like 357, cool. But what about 223s? Or 562s? I thought this was America. I thought this was America! What is this shit? The founding fathers would be ashamed. Everyone's talking about AR-15s, but no one has ammunition for them. In this zombie apocalypse, F my life, right? Shouldn't you be staggering? You know, one person guards the hallway, the other person clears them. What, it's gonna be a monkey! Jojo the monkey! Watch, it's gonna be a clicker. Return to monkey! You know, some idiot decided to start showing monkeys in a zoo, Planet of the Apes, and then they caught a monkey making an improvised weapon. Turning into a monkey instead of a clicker doesn't sound bad. No, it doesn't. You see, I think the different colors could be different teams. Hutchin, what are you doing? Are you trying to play stealth game? Trying to sneak without the people seeing you? I'll give you some music. You know what I find funny? She keeps watching Japanese videos and they keep taking parts of the soundtrack and audio from Metal Gear Solid, like the alert sound and things like that. And so every time she's watching one of her Japanese vlogs, I'm like, are you watching Metal Gear Solid? And she's like, what's that? And I'm like, out of this house. Ellie, could you please stop pointing that thing around? I just heard someone. Oh, look, they just stole your horse. Alright, that's a Tech 45. Tech 45, bad. Standard issue weaponry. Alright, I'm gonna be honest with you boys. Those 45s, while effective in Israel, were typically made for short to middle ranged firefights. The recoil on that thing, particularly without the buttstock, is a bitch. You ain't hitting shit with that thing. Particularly, you know. So if you were clever, you'd take out one guy and then take out the other guy with a gun. Those guys with the bats probably have pistols on them. That's just what I would do. Or if you're feeling really good, you sneak up on them with a knife, take one of the guys with the guns, shoot the other guy, slit the guy's throat, shoot the guys with the bats. But that's like pretty advanced. Wait, why are you downstairs? I don't like that. Joel. Joel, I don't like that. Joel, they would have seen the horse. They're waiting. Joel, come on, man. You should know better than this. Speaking of Israel, you like the TAR-21? The TAR-21's not bad. You know what my personal favorite is? And I know a lot of people are going to say that it's very impractical, but I don't care. The Desert Eagle. I love the Desert Eagle. Well, lucky he didn't tie up the horse. Oh, would you look at that? They were waiting for them. Who would have thought? Ellie, Jesus, Ellie, fucking put the fucking Jesus, don't just point that thing at fucking everywhere. Use your legs, Joel. Use your legs, Joel. You're not choking anybody. His air pipe is still open because he's looking right into you. Okay, there's no way he's even choking. Look, he's holding him here. He's got plenty of air. He can't actually choke him like this. You actually have to choke them here, and you end up choking them with the forearm muscle. So you actually choke them like that. Okay, humans don't actually possess enough torque to be able to snap someone's neck like that. That's purely a Hollywood move. But what would Kuma know about martial arts? Good gun safety, Ellie. Fingers not on the trigger unless you're ready to fire. Ooh! That is not going to end well. No. If you take out the thing without stopping the bleeding, you're in a much worse situation. Do not take that thing out unless you're ready to stop the bleeding. And is taking it out. Oh, fuck, that's bad. Yeah, that's really bad. How did he not react to that? I have one word for you. Adrenaline. Trust me on this. Adrenaline. Half the time you don't feel it until you see it, and then you see it, and then you go into shock. Joel, you need to put fucking... They're not gonna hit shit with a tech fucking 40. Is he holding an axe? What are you, a Viking? Hey, last time you had 2 guys with SMGs and 2 guys with bats. Now I see 1 guy with a bat, 1 guy with an axe, and maybe a guy with an SMG. Ladies and gentlemen, this is why you don't think you're clever and you go on that horse without clearing your corners. They would have seen that guy had he cleaned his corners, but he did not and he got stabbed. Kids, always clean your corners. And always watch, like, if you have 2 people, 1 person should always be watching. I had adrenaline after getting a bad dog bite. Didn't feel it until my cousin had my hand in the sink. Yeah. I remember when I got slashed the first time. I didn't actually know I was bleeding. So I basically ended up getting slashed here. Don't ask. But, scenario finished. I didn't realize. And then I saw the cut and I saw the blood. And then the adrenaline like fucking dropped. And then I kind of started going into shock. Luckily, it wasn't a deep cut and I didn't end up cutting anything. But like, I didn't actually feel it. But as soon as I saw it and the blood was just going, then it hit me psychologically. And then I started breathing. I almost passed out and then I had to calm myself down. And then it was like, dude, you're fine. You were fine a second ago. It's psychological. You need to breathe. You need to do deep breaths, not shallow breaths. Otherwise, you're going to pass the fuck out. Then I calmed myself down. I was basically just holding it with my thumb. And then I was like, all right. See how it's going. Can you actually move the finger around? Okay, good. You didn't lose any mobility in the finger, which means you're okay. It's fine. You know, like, you basically have to chill yourself the fuck out. But it was one of the scariest experiences because you learn in theory what happens, right? But until it happens, theory's like fine, but until it happens to you, you don't know shit. Trust me. Until it happens, you don't know shit. Then when it happens, your body just fires off chemicals. Your mind fucks with you. You need to keep calm. It's really hard. I don't care who you are. The first time, fucking scary. Fucking scary. You gotta literally go through that logical process to keep yourself calm. Because if you lose it, you'll panic, you'll pass out, and then you're in a much worse situation than you were if you just chilled the fuck out. It's what kept early men alive. It's the fight or flight instinct. Well, yeah, people without a strong fight or flight instinct would have either gotten eaten, gotten caught, or lost the fight. So through simple Darwinism, the people with a decent fight or flight response would have ended up surviving. Yeah, if you don't get the shot, they have to break the jaw. Which shot? Which shot? Tetanus? Yeah, rust. My mother had a car crash that left her advanced disabled course. 50% of her body was permanently damaged. She says she didn't feel it until an hour later. Yeah, adrenaline is just insane. A lot of people will very rarely, if ever, get that full fight or flight response. But I think it's super important for people to learn the feeling of it because it's very easy to lock up if you don't know what the feeling's like. A lot of people will just lock up, and they can't move. I think it's very important to actually learn the feeling. And then after a while, when it starts kicking in, you know what it is. You're like, okay, that's my fight or flight response. You can control it as opposed to it controlling you. I think that's important. Do you have any fucking duct tape? Yeah, he's gonna pass out. Ellie, you need fucking duct tape or something to stop the bleeding. And fuck, he's like a week away from the camp. There is not enough pressure on that wound and you gotta get him warm. See, this is why you gotta teach them the basics. This is why you gotta teach people the basics. It's important, man. Everyone thinks it will never happen to them, but you gotta know the basics, man. You gotta know the basics. And they should be teaching that shit in schools. Damn, did they kill Joel this early? It's gonna be fucked if they did. They were like, we know The Last of Us 2 is gonna be the worst thing ever, so we're gonna take the bullet out of the gun. But, to be fair, I don't think Ellie, that was brought up in a military school, would not have first aid. She might be panicking now, but she would have some knowledge of stop the breathing. Sorry, not the breathing. Stop the bleed. Stop the breathing. Whoops. Well, a body has been discovered. But, she would know the basics. Stop the bleeding. Clear the airway. Is he breathing? Is he in shock? Is the body... you know what I mean? She would know the basics. Stop the breathing. Jesus Christ. That was a bad micro slip. I mean, Joel, if you want to be stealthy, you stop his breathing. But, they They teach calculus in a world where basic math is the most used and don't teach us how to survive. They also don't teach you how to do your tax returns. And it's by design. They don't want people that know what they're doing. Ellie, put down the pillow. Ellie, put down the fishing wire. Okay, cool. I mean, a good episode, don't get me wrong. But my whole question is, ¿por qué no los dos? Why couldn't the two brothers go together? I feel like a seasoned fighter, Joel should know the importance of keeping the wound plugged to avoid blood loss. Okay, so... there's a few things. If he needs to get on a horse, and he's literally moving and stuff, the thing being inside could cause additional internal damage, which could prove fatal. So it's a little bit of a damned if you do, damned if you don't. He could have been on adrenaline, I'll pull it out, I'll stitch it up. But as soon as he pulled it out, there's people that, like, you gotta... It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't. But ideally, it would have been pull out, pressure, get on the horse, get out. If you have something like duct tape or something just to even stop the bleeding. Because, first of all, it's not like a bullet. You don't have to remove something. And you have to fucking hope it didn't get something internal, which is going to kill you from the inside. Like, that would be you'd basically be knocking on wood and hoping for the best. And then just stopping the bleeding and hoping that you're not going to fucking die. Unfortunately. Because I don't think you've got doctors nearby. And I don't think you're about to do field surgery with Ellie. As much as I like the kid, I don't think she's ready to start cutting someone open and clamping down on something. Nor do I think that she have the actual equipment to do it. And on top of that, you're probably going to die from infection. So, am I the only one that would have hunted those 4 people down? My reaction was hunt those 4 people down. I mean, I love sneaking as much as the next person, but when they saw the horse, they know you would go for the horse. And you had the element of surprise, and their weapons were inferior to yours. You could hunt them down. But he said himself, he's getting a bit old, his hearing is getting weak, he's not in his prime. I'm sure Joel in his prime would have just carved him like a cake. That's the sad thing about getting old. Good episode, but I think he'll pull through. I think it'll just be Ellie. I think literally cut next morning, he sort of wakes up. Ellie's got a fire, or she found shelter. She kept him warm. She gave him first aid. He's vulnerable, but luckily it didn't hit anything vital. And they're slowly going back to the village or something. I think that would be the logical course. I think it would be weird to kill him off in this episode. It would be really fucking weird. According to the game's timeline, we should be getting the Ellie DLC where she explores the mall for medicine and we get her flashbacks. Possible. Very possible. Because she needed to do that when Joel was unwell. So that could be happening. No, wait, that wasn't the Ellie DLC. The Ellie DLC was when she was exploring the mall with her friend, where she got originally bitten. You're talking about the mission where Ellie has to explore the mall to get supplies while she's being hunted by the other people. So that's probably what you're referring to. Which, by the way, was fun, because we got to hunt the other people. The show really shows the issue with aging in the apocalypse. As you age, you get weaker, and your potential threat grows more and more powerful than you. That is... like, I learned that... I learned that the unwise way of competing in tournaments, and I ended up eventually getting onto the international competitive side. And I was able to do national tournaments and local international, with like people from Australia and New Zealand and some parts of Asia, through tenacity and stamina. Like 4 or 5 fights to the finals, right? You go to the world tournament, it's like 9 fights before the finals. I simply did not have the technique. Because unfortunately, in my fights, I would sustain damage. I was not that good that I would not sustain damage, but I would be able to outlast my opponents. So I would win the round technically and go to the next round. So I found out very quickly that my way of doing it wasn't necessarily the right one. It's like, yes, I am a decent fighter on one-on-one. However, the guy that's going to win this thing is obviously not going to be sustaining the level of damage that I am. He's just going to maneuver, dodge all that, and just take him out in one go. Whereas Kuma was literally beating up every person he was fighting. So I was more of a brawler rather than a martial artist in that sense. And so I learned very quickly that, yeah, you can be one of the biggest, one of the strongest, one of the most, tenacious fighters there. You're not just going to keep beating eventually your body, you can be as high-spirited as you want, but eventually your body will run out of steam, right? And so I sort of saw that as, holy shit, I need to start working on technique and fighting and experience and all that other stuff. But then just imagining, even if you do that, eventually your body will weaken. You will be slower. Your reaction time will slow down. Your body itself is just not going to be as youthful. You won't recover as quickly. It won't give you that energy as quickly. All these things. And in a society, it's kind of important to have people around you, because if you don't, eventually something will happen that you can't fix on your own. You could easily get injured and you won't be able to fix yourself. There's an importance of having people around you that you can trust and all these other things. And that's where this whole concept of family and community and society and these things comes in, particularly from a survival point of view. It's not just, we're a family because I banged this person and we popped out a few kids and sayonara when you hit 18. It's literally a unit of people that you are, related to by blood, but also, you look out for one another. You bring up the kids a certain way with certain values and you look after them, but you also give them skills and you teach them things. And then eventually, when they are in a position where they're able to do things that you are not, you are hoping that you brought them up in such a way that they don't just, pop you off in a nursing home and pretend you don't exist until you're about to die and they need an inheritance. Right? So the concept of family and then extended family and then community as well and things like that. And particularly when I take a look at the Western world gets that part all wrong because it treats old people like a burden. But you have to also consider at the same time that these old people that are just getting sort of flicked on the side didn't do themselves favors with how they raised their kids. A lot of them put their careers and put themselves ahead of their kids, used babysitters, never spent time with their kids, to the point that the kids have no connection to the parent, have no loyalty, and don't really feel like they owe these people anything. They become entitled, and they basically just don't care about the parent because, let's face it, the parent didn't really fulfill the role, and that family unit isn't a unit anymore. It's just a title. Husbands and wives don't even act like husbands and wives. They don't even see each other during the day, and kids and parents don't have that relationship. And God forbid, grandparents don't even have the relationships with their grandkids. Some people see their grandparents once every 6 months, once a year. There's none of that, thing. I grew up seeing my grandfather a lot. I didn't see my grandmother a lot because she unfortunately passed away before I was born, but from the other side as well. And then I saw my auntie and her kids, my cousins, and we were sort of raised in a unit. Kuma, it's by design. I know. It's basically divide and conquer. Split up the family. The state is responsible for the education. They program your children. They indoctrinate them. And you have a bunch of sheep that you can use for whatever political cause you need. And if you're in a war, you just draft them and send them off to die, while the politicians' kids never have to go to the draft and they get a director position in Ukraine at $50,000 a month, which they're completely unqualified for. I know it's by design, but it's also sickening. I'm just trying to point out how important it is to actually have family and friends around you. But you're also partially responsible for creating that. And I'm sorry, but it comes with accountability. You have to do it. And even if you have like a broken family and not such good parents, you by design are responsible for your own future. Pick your partner carefully. Someone that you get along with, someone that you can work with, someone that you can build something with, someone that you can live with, potentially, and someone that isn't going to drop you at the first sign of struggle. Just saying. And then possibly raise your children properly with some value system and potentially compassion. Like qualities that are not really valued these days. Like, I'm sorry, but it's like up to you. I mean, you can blame the young generation for everything all you want, but at the end of the day, you're the one programming your kids. I miss my grandma so much, and your grandpa. Reminds me of the story of how an entitled guy wanted to sue his landlord. People jumped in it until it hot out. The landlord was his grandmother, and he refused to pay rent that she wanted him to kick out. And she probably wasn't even charging him like market rent. She was probably charging him the price of maintaining the property and the utilities. She was probably doing him a favor. Like a lot of these family rate things are like pay the costs. It's like no profit. It's like pay the costs. It's like literally doing you a favor. My family would probably survive this apocalypse. My dad would probably die going back for the weed, though. Grow your own, man. I like that we can have mature discussions. I really do appreciate that. I really do. But I really do like this. So it's going to be interesting. They've got 3 episodes left, so it's going to be really interesting to see how it goes. It's going to be interesting. As always, there are a few things that are kind of weak, but we are watching a Hollywood-style series. Sorry for burping, but it is what it is. I'm one of those people that's into hyper-realism, particularly in a story that's about survival in the world that's falling apart, apocalyptic. I'm kind of into realism. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think you can write an amazing story while keeping it as realistic as possible. I find those types of stories the most captivating. But at the same time, I understand it's a bit of a trope. Grab the guy from behind, crack his neck, like it exists in a lot of games. So, I can't exactly take too many points off that. But there's also a bit of a logical hole of why couldn't the brother just tag along? It's safer with 2 people than 1, If he was going to go anyway, why don't 2 people go instead of 1? It's a bit of a scenario. But then it's like, oh, he didn't think it would matter. It's like, well, better safe than sorry, Until Kuma and takes from Final Fantasy VII Remake takes comebacks. Where? I don't get what you were saying by that. Unless you're talking about the time fuckery of Kuma watching old Kuma talk about something. Hey, but it's all good fun. All right, guys, we're going to take a break. We're going to watch Avatar memes, and then we're going to watch some Naruto Shippuden. I'm going to play a song from The Last of Us. Use this as your break music, please. Grab a drink, grab whatever you need, all that good stuff.